All right, hello everybody. How we doing? Fantastic as always, I hope. Here we are. We are having some fun doing some doodling. I didn't really have a clear direction. I had a rough idea here for a sort of hyper technological, over the top, uh, you know, city situation, or not necessarily even city, but just in the midst of some right angle constructs and technology, with a person immersed in the middle of it, apparently controlling it, or being controlled by it. Let the viewer decide what's going on. And the person, the human being, would be a contrast to the gear and technology that they're surrounded by. And like I said, you're not really sure if they're in control or they're being controlled. I don't know if that was necessarily a metaphor for we're living what we're living right now, but that's what we're doing. And you're stuck in your bubble, cranking away, trying to meet your agile sprint commitments before the 10 days are out. And you go to your 15 meetings, and maybe you got a couple hours at the end of the day to actually do it within business hours. Else you're stuck in your bubble working till 10 o'clock at night. Not that I'm saying that I have a problem with agile or anything, but sometimes it is what it is. I love agile. What am I talking about? Keep it cranking. More and more, faster, faster. Ready? And I'm just gonna create some nonsense in the background, just piling up lines and creating some machinery or structures, and just creating those cubes really goes a long way, and it's not a lot of work, and it really gives you that illusion that something more is going on there. Is it machinery with mysterious purposes, and who knows what it could combine to form? It's all some messy transformer that could be shifting and moving in the background. And it might be cool to do an animation like that if I had those kind of skills. Might be something to blenderize, but even then, that would be time consuming and overwhelming to my abilities at this point, I think. Give it a shot at some point. Maybe. But I really did have some fun with this. I'm sticking with that phone camera. The resolution seems to be a lot better, and as long as I pay attention to where I'm putting the page or the book, because I don't slide it around too much, I can manage it. And this is about as far as I can zoom out with that little phone, with that old phone. But the 4K res is much better than that blurry or questionable GoPro. But the GoPro was okay. It just seemed to, when it was white, when I was in that initial sketch phase, it looked like it was really having a hard time grabbing the image or focusing on it. And I was stuck with this blurry weirdness for a while until I could get some solid lines down for the lens to focus on. I don't know. I guess that might have been what's going on. Hard to say why it was so blurry up front. Glass bubble I struggled with a little bit. I'm always torn between throwing like a reflection on there and potentially messing up the image. I should mess around with that in digital to see how I can pull it off and then try to relate that back to the more analog or the more traditional media here. But I haven't been able to get a good solid white that isn't transparent, at least not without revisiting the white application a couple of different times. And then even then it starts to get a little goofy or ugly looking. And trying to get that circle, it even kind of looks like a squished sphere, but I was trying to get perfectly round. I wanted to maybe should have got a cup or something to trace it, but I couldn't find anything that fit that size I started off with. So I kind of get that. It's not too noticeable, but it is sort of noticeable. Squished sphere. Doing that free-handed, getting that arc without spinning the book around was a challenge. A little bit. Alright, I think this is kind of where we're headed. There's your overall image. It's not going to change too much from here, other than we're just going to continue to work our lines. Push that figure. See, I'm using the pencil there because I'm afraid to use the black pen. There's no undo with that black pen. I'm just feeling out the shade with the pencil, and then I'll come back to it. I really just want to get faster at that. And it's really, it's just a sketch. I don't know why I get, at this point I think I got attached to it. There's this point where I kind of get hooked on it, and I don't want to see it ruined. I mean, I could just do another one without too much effort or difficulty, but I get scared. I'm gonna ruin it. That's silly, I know. And the one thing I wanted to do that I thought of doing, I wasn't quite sure how to pull it off, would be sort of that refraction in that sphere. How could you pull that off with all that noise, all that noisy line behind it, all that rambunctious background? Would it have just screwed it up and drawn away from the actual image as it is, or would have enhanced it? It's all stuff I guess I should experiment with digitally, because it's digitally is a lot more forgiving, obviously. Really, it's just about me getting over my fears and jumping into it. At some point, I probably will when I got a few more miles behind me, art-wise, sketch-wise, and doing this kind of stuff. It's been a long time since I really did all this kind of work. I mean, at least for so long. I used to draw all the time. So really, over the past couple of months, getting back into it to this extent and trying to recapture some lost skills. And this was my half measure to just kind of gray out the background of that bubble. And maybe a gradation, a better grade, a clear gradation, like darker on the top and lighter on the bottom would have worked out better. That gradation of course contained within the sphere, just to give that illusion of a spherical glass. We're just gonna finish up that background, I guess, is the hardest part. Was trying to keep it without messing up that sense of depth. 'Cause I'm trying to keep the foreground real sharp and the background sort of fadey without um, ruining the detail. I was trying to keep the sharp lines and the crisp outlines of some of those buildings for more of a graphic effect. And there you go. If you stuck around this long, I greatly appreciate your time. And if you want to stop by again, we'll be doing this again. See you later. Bye.